I mean, I'm sorry, but look at this thing. That's a burger. So just about a week ago or so, I made a video on gluten. And in that video, I did a bunch of research and I discovered that really, I should be using more gluten in my videos because gluten works out really well to make great meat replacements. And I said that I also was gonna go back through a lot of my videos and see if I can add gluten to the recipes to change it up and make it better. After a little bit of digging and going through a lot of my videos, I think I have come up with a fantastic recipe for a veggie burger. And I believe it's gonna be really dang good. Let's get moving. This recipe is gonna be one that you're not gonna wanna miss. It's gonna be good. Okay, so most of this recipe is gonna be vital wheat gluten and pea protein. We're not gonna use any sort of textured product because the gluten is going to create that texture, fingers crossed. We're gonna make a majority of this recipe in the blender, or if you have a food processor. We're gonna get started with our dry ingredients, drop in our liquid ingredients, and just kind of mix. Now, most of these ingredients are ingredients that I've used on different veggie burgers that I've done in the past. That's how I kind of came up with this recipe. We're gonna be really just testing this recipe, so some tweaks might have to be made. And if I say something in the video, I'll leave the correct amounts in the description if there is any changes. But we're gonna start off with 2 grams of beetroot powder. Cool thing about beetroot powder is in the meat, when it's heated, it turns brown. Kind of works out really well. 1 gram cocoa powder, 5 grams nutritional yeast, 5 grams of the mushroom extract. I use this in a lot of videos. I do recommend picking it up for veggie meats or just really all in all, every type of cooking. I add this to everything. I even add it to my marinara sauce. It really gives a really nice umami bomb. It's like a savory burst of flavor. This stuff is awesome. I'm gonna do 30 grams of pea protein. You can use any protein you like. Now I'm just gonna drop in just a touch of some onion powder and then same amount of garlic powder. So as you can see, we haven't added any vital wheat gluten yet. That's gonna go in at the very end. I'm just gonna put the top on this, give it one real quick blast to kind of mix up and everything's mixed together. Looks pretty good. We have a nice mixed powder. There's really not a whole lot to this. So we're gonna add in 60 milliliters of water, 20 milliliters of vinegar, that's white distilled vinegar, 40 milliliters of soy sauce, really up that umami, that savoriness, the meatiness of it. And we're just gonna do a drop of liquid smoke, not much, just enough to touch on some of that smokiness like you would on a barbecue. And we're gonna do a touch of molasses, again, not much, but the molasses is gonna give us an irony flavor, which all meat has. Molasses has a ton of iron and really kind of enriches this. So at this point, all I'm gonna do is just kind of scrape down the sides. And now all I'm gonna do is just pulse this quite a few times until this turns into kind of a thick paste. So now at this point, we have about 200 grams of vital wheat gluten. This is just pure gluten. We're gonna drop this right into our mixer. And we're just going to quickly pulse this together, hopefully kind of creating your normal gluten kind of bond, but then also grinding it up into what we would think would be like a burger patty. We might need to add some more water to this, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see how it works out. I'm gonna add almost an additional 60 milliliters, and I'm gonna keep adding an additional 60 until we get to the consistency that I want. I want this to be like gluten, but I also kind of want it to be broken apart and a little wet. Okay, this is looking perfect. So at this point, I'm actually gonna put the lid on this. I'm gonna throw this in the refrigerator for just a few minutes while we get our next ingredient ready. There's only one more thing that we need. Now in the past, we used these coconut oil pucks. These are great for marbling fat in any sort of ground beef recipe. I've made these using coconut oil, a little bit of water, and then methyl cellulose. If you wanna learn how to make these, I'll leave a link in the description below. These pucks, you can make a bunch of them at once, freeze them, and anytime you're making a vegan or plant-based ground beef, you can make one of these pucks. So I'm just gonna take the puck with a box grater and just grate in kind of big chunks of the coconut oil, which is going to mimic the fat. Okay, so this guy's been in the fridge long enough for the meat to be able to kind of chill up. I'm just gonna kind of break this into pieces. Now we're gonna add our coconut meat flakes here. Now what we're gonna do is just drop the lid on and we're gonna pulse this together just a few more times just to make sure that the coconut, the fat gets kind of mixed into the meat. So at this point, I'm gonna drop all the meat here on a piece of parchment paper And then all we're gonna do is just kind of thin these guys out. I don't wanna work them too much because then otherwise the gluten is gonna kind of work together. Oh, it's way too much. So we're just gonna take about a meatball-sized amount of meat and kind of just work it together and then push it down into a burger-like patty, 90 to 100 grams per burger. Once the steamer's steaming, drop these guys. You're probably only, depending on the size of your steamer, you're probably only gonna be able to do 2 or 3. Drop them into the steamer for about 20 minutes. I have a feeling these are gonna be really, really good. Really good. I mean, look at them. I mean, these look amazing. They came out so good, but first they do have to sit overnight. These aren't completely done. The steaming them just kind of cooked them and to give them its initial cook, but we do want them to kind of sit overnight to kind of firm up. It's gonna tensen up the gluten strands, and then we can cook them just how you would in a regular burger. So I'm gonna finish cooking the rest of these. We're gonna wrap them up, throw them in the fridge overnight. We'll be back tomorrow when we will cook these in a frying pan. Okay, these guys were in the fridge overnight. They firmed up, they got really nice and cool. So I got the iron skillet heating up. I'm gonna use some McCormick's Grill Mates hamburger seasoning. This is gonna really kind of help up that grilled burger flavor. So at this point, I'm just gonna pop these guys in the skillet. You can throw them on a grill if you want. I'm not gonna pull out the grill for just making 2 burgers, but I'm gonna throw them on the skillet. They should still come out excellent. I mean, I'm sorry, but look at this thing. That's a burger. But I'm gonna give it a try really quick. That's a pretty good burger. So I do think that the texture might just be a pinch too soft for a burger. It's tasty. It is legit tasty. So here it is. Dad, you remember the Impossible Burger?
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to know if you think this is better than the Impossible Burger.
Just as good or a little bit even better.
If you were just handed that, you would have no problem.
No.
It's a burger, right?
Right. Really good.
Is this better than the Impossible Burger? Let me know. I would love to hear what you think in the comments. Make it, try it out, see what you think.